Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Master Stage. And today we are going to discuss about the labor law, part two, which is very important for your examination purpose. And by this watching this video, you can simply clear your examination, and you can also able to attempt other law competitive examinations. Okay, it is simple explanation with a nice presentation. Okay, if you are newly watching my channel, please do subscribe and share with your friends. Okay, so let us labor law. Okay, it is a LL.B fourth semester and part two of in which we are going to discuss wages, bonus, social security, welfare laws, etc. It is very quick revision. Okay, so let us start the journey. Okay, so the concept of wages. So there are three concepts are there. One is minimum wages, fair wages, and living wages. Okay, minimum wages means what? In order to live, uh, in order to satisfy minimum needs. Okay, so as per the uh, law, one has to get the minimum wages for the survival of the labor. Okay, so no employer has to pay below this one. Okay, this is the minimum wage. Fair wage, that means it is above minimum wage. So in order to pay day-to-day expenses, get the good productivity and getting the privilege prevailing rates. Okay, as per the prevailing rates, the labor has to satisfy his daily needs and living wages. That means, so it is not minimum wages, it is not fair wages, but it is above, uh, like uh, above all these, giving higher, like in order to lead the life of higher standard. So it is going to cover all the human needs, including education, health, and comfort. Okay, so many times this particular three concepts is going to be asked: distinguish between minimum wages, wage wages, fair wages, and living wages. So it is very common. So just have look at this particular slide, and remember, if you want, you can write down the same: minimum wages, fair wages, and living wages. Then wages policy and Wesley Commission. So what is wages policy objectives? So ensure that everybody going to have the fair distribution of national income. So in a country, everybody has to have the standard living life. So in order to have that, so national income distribute should be equally and fair distribution. So there should not be wage disparities across industries. That means people are getting highly paid and some people are getting very least wages. That should not be there. That disparity should be reduced. So, and you have to link the wages to the productivity and cost of living. It should be matched with the cost of living and what you're working. That is also important. And through this wages and through this fair wages or minimum wages, okay, or standard wages, so it is going to promote the industrial peace. Okay, so Wesley Commission recommendations what? He established that he recommended that establishment of joint industrial councils. Okay, there should be a minimum fixation. Minimum wages should be fixed by the statutory authority. Then there should be have collective bargaining. Okay, then like wages uh, across the board for the specific index should be similar. That is the thing. So frequently they may ask about the Wesley Commission 1929. Okay, remember this. Okay, write these things, that will be helpful to you. Then code of wages as per 2019. Okay, so consolidation merges of four act: minimum wages, payment of bonus, and equal remuneration. So the wages should be paid on timely. Maybe it may be daily, weekly, fortnightly, or monthly, depending on the establishment type. Okay. Then authorized deduction. There should not be any unauthorized deduction. So only authorized deduction should be permitted from the wages, like uh, fines, absence, damage, okay, housing, advance, and statutory deduction should be there. Then universal coverage applies all the employees, regardless of sector, organized, unorganized sector. So this is the Code of Wages 2019. So sometimes they may ask about this Code of Wages 2019. You have to remember. Okay, so that's the thing. Then minimum wages under this code 2019. So the government has to fix the floor wages considering the skill of the labor, level level of the skill, then R&S of work and geographical region. Workers may claim unpaid wages before appointed authority with the penalty and defaulting employers. So floor wages, there is a concept national minimum below which the state government cannot go. The floor wage should be there. Okay. Then bonus and concept and right to claim. So what is the definition? Like ex gratia payment linked to the profits. Now it is a statutory right under the code on wages 2009. So the bonus is the it is a statutory for right for the as per the code on wages 2019. So full bench formula. So what is the formula should be used? Gross profit minus prior charges equal to available surpluses, then uh, allocable surplus shared between the employer and employee. The purpose is that shares prosperity with the workers, whatever the profit earned by the company, that should be shared with the workers. Then incentives with the productivity, and so that industrial dispute should be reduced. So as per the examination thing, you can write the uh, like Muir Mills versus Sulte Mills Mazdoor Union 1955. It is established for the full bench formula. Full bench formula is here. It is given. Just let me show once again. Here the full bench formula: gross profit minus prior charges equal to available surplus. So uh, allocable surplus shared between the employer and employee. So the profit should not retain only with the employer, but it should be shared with the employees. Okay. The code on wages, bonus, eligibility, and applicability. So the establishment with 20 or more person. Okay. Every employee earn up to 21,000 per month. Minimum work days in a accounting year 30 working days. Okay. Disqualification. Okay. So when this wages is or bonus not applicable, when due to fraud, rights conduct, or theft, or conviction for sexual harassment. Okay, the salary, the ceiling should be of 21,000 and 30 days minimum frequent tested figures. Okay, this is the thing. Okay, then computation of bonus, how the bonus is going to be calculated. Okay, set on excess surplus carried forward for future lens year, set of deficit carried forward, minimum bonus still payable, minimum max. So minimum the bonus should be 8.33% or uh, maximum 20% of annual wages should be paid. Okay, you remember this one, minimum maximum. Okay, so social security and concept. What is the social security? So the government should provide protection against economic and social hazards due to sickness, injury, old age, unemployment, and maternity. The social insurance, so contribution schemes benefit linked to the contribution like ESI, EPF. Then social assistance, so non-contributed funded by the for vulnerable groups regardless of contribution. Okay. Exam tips, what you have to remember: distinguish between insurance versus assistance is a almost they may ask for the 5 marks. So insurance and assistance, that should be remember. Okay, insurance, social insurance, which includes the benefits linked to the contribution of ESI, EPF, and social assistance means without contributing from the employee, the state government should help, okay, for the vulnerable groups regardless of contribution. Okay, then Employees Compensation Act 1923. So what is this? Employer's liability. So employable liable if personal injury caused by accident arising out of and in the course of employment. Okay, so employer is responsible during like any production things going on that time if the accident taken places. So out of the course of employment, the employer is responsible for the same. Injury employment nexus. So dual test: injury must arise out of causation or in the course of time or place of employment. So defense is available what? Employer not liable if the workers under influence of alcohol, drugs, willful disobedience of safety rules, or willful removal of safety guards. So when it is not applicable, Employees Compensation Act 2020, 1923. So if the employer takes drugs or alcohol or willfully disobeyed the rules, the safety rules, or not wearing the safety guards, so that time this Employees Compensation Act 2023 may not applicable. So the case is you can read. It is available in the internet. Okay, McKinnon, Mackage and Company versus Ibrahim. So it is arising out of employment test. So that should be there. Remember this Employees Compensation Act 1923. Then compensation and penalty under EC Act payment rules. So what happens? Employees like compensation and penalty under Employee Contribution Act payment rules. What? Death 50% of the monthly average plus relevant factors. Permanent disabilities, that is 60% uh, into relevant factors. Temporary disablement 20%, 25% of the wages on half monthly payment. Okay, compensation depend on with the commissioner. Okay, penalty for default: if the company not pays, then interest payable on delayed compensation, additional penalty up to 50% on compensation of amount, commissioner empowered to recover as arrears land revenue. Okay, like this is the compensation penalty of under Employee Contribution Act. Okay, so examination point of view, remember percentages for 50% for the death and 60% for the PTD. So it may ask frequently in the examination. Then ECI Act 1948, what it says, application. So these ECI Act applicable: factories established with the 10 plus employees, wages up to 21,000 and 25,000 for the disabled. The benefit of ESI Act 1948: due to sickness, maternity, dis, uh, disablement, or dependents, medical and funeral expenses, etc. Then ESIC disputes. So Employees State Insurance Corporation Administration for schemes dispute the resolved by ESI courts. So examination point of view. So the contribution ratio, employer contribution is 3.25, whereas employee contribution is 0.75% of wages. This is a ECI ratio. Okay, remember employers contribution 3.25, whereas employees 0.75% of wages. Then EPF and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1952, the contribution. So employee contribution should be 12% of basic wages. Applicable applies to all the establishment with the 20 plus employees. Okay, the benefits of this particular EPF and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1952 benefits are there. The retirement corpus accumulation, pension after 10 years of services, life insurance coverage, that is EDLI, then partial withdrawal for housing, medical, and education. The three schemes are available for the EPF and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1952. Three schemes. What is that? Employees Provident Fund Scheme 1952, Employees Pension Scheme 1995, Employees Deposit Linked Insurance Scheme 1975. So the examination tip here: allow all three schemes under their purposes. So they may ask about the 10 marks. Okay, you should know these three schemes: Employees Provident Fund Schemes 1952, Employees Pension Schemes 1995, Employees Deposit Linked Insurance Scheme 1975. You can Google it and you can write the same. Then Maternity Benefit Act amended 2018 applicable. So it is applicable. The company have 10 plus employees, all women workers regardless of their wage ceiling. So they should have the extended leave. So paid maternity leave increased from 12 weeks to 26 from first 2 years, first two children. So 12 weeks for the third child. Okay, new provision: crunch facility mandatory for 50 plus employees, work from home option, adoption and surrogacy leave for of 12 weeks. So here the examination tip. So 26 weeks is a tested figure from the 2017 amendment. It is effective from 2018. Just remember, Maternity Benefit Act amended 2018, applicable for the 10 plus employees, for all the women workers regardless of their wage ceiling. Extended leave should be there. The leave increased from 12 weeks to 26 weeks. Okay, and the provision is that, so crunch facility for the mandate for the 50 plus employees, they are also allowed to work from home option, adoption, surrogacy leave of 12 weeks. This is remember, you have to remember these things. You can also take the screenshot of this one. Okay, that payment of Gratuity Act 1972. What is the eligibility? So 5 years of continuous service should be there, payable on retirement, resignation, death, or disablement. Okay, then applicable to the establishment with the 10 plus employees. So you have to remember payment of Gratuity Act. 5 years continuous service should be there, payable the amount on retirement or resignation or death or even disabilities, applicable for the establishment of 10 plus years of 10 plus employees. The calculation formula here: gratuity equal to last withdrawn salary into 12 by 26 into number of years of services. Then minimum ceiling, okay, 20 lakhs, that is post 2018 amendment, 15 days wages per completed years, then 26 working days in a month. The formula and 20 lakh ceiling are must memorize the facts for problems. Okay, remember this eligibility, remember this calculation for the payment of Gratuity Act 1972. Then gratuity, forfeiture, nomination, and authorities. Forfeiture means gratuity wholly or partially forfeited for willful omission, damages to the property, or termination of moral turpitude or violence. Okay, nomination. So employee must nominate within 30 days of completing 1 year of services. Family members preferred nominee. Controlling authority: dispute resolved by the country controlling authority, that is a labor commissioner, applicable to appellate authority. So the examination tip here: four feature backgrounds for frequently asked in the examination. So you have to uh, should know distinguish between partial and total forfeiture of this thing. Okay, then Factories Act 1948, health and safety. So healthy and safety section 11 to 20, cleanliness, waste disposal, ventilation should be there. Then adequate lighting and drinking water should be, latrine facility should be there. Then spartons and overcrowding prevention should be there. There is a health provisions as per the Factories Act 1948. Then health is safety. The health safety measures should be As per 21 to 41, fencing is mandatory for work on moving machinery. Hoistic and lifts, pressure vessels should be there. Periodic examination should be there. Explosive or inflammable dust gas precaution should be there. Safety officer mandatory have every 1,000 workers there should be have one safety officer should be there. So the examination, they may ask about the chapter 3 health and chapter 4 about the safety section under the frequently tested. You can Google it, Factories Act 1948, health and safety. Then Factories Act, welfare provisions and working conditions, or welfare facilities. So what is the welfare? Washing facility should be there. First aid box should be there. For the one box should be there for 150 workers. Canteen should be there. Those who are working 250 plus workers. Then crunch facilities, 30 plus women workers should be there, and restrooms should be there for the same. So as per the Factories Act, welfare provisions and working condition, working hours. So maximum 48 hours and 40 hours a week and 9 hours a day, and overtime it double rate, and weekly holiday should be there. It is a mandatory. Then special protection for women's, like no night work without consent, provision on hazardous process for women and young persons. So worker threshold should be there, 250, 150 and 30. The facilities is there. You have to remember about this welfare facilities and working hours and special protection. Then child labor laws. So the constitutional provision is that Article 24 says that prohibition of employment of children below 14 years in factories, mines, and hazardous work. Then Article 39 E and F, DPSP, protection children from exploitation. Article 21 A says that free and compulsory education up to the to 14 years should be there. Then child labor, P&R Act 1986 amendmented in 2016, complete prohibition below 14 years in all occupations. Then adolescent, then 14 to 18 years, prohibition in hazardous occupations. Like there is the exception is there for the family entertainment. Okay. Then penalty, 6 months or 6 months to 2 years in prison should be there for the child labor act. Okay. So the case here, MC Mehta versus State of Tamil Nadu 1996 is a landmark on child labor rehabilitation. So you remember this. Then Equal Remuneration Act 1976 and revision tips. So equal pay principle. So equal pay for the women and men. Okay, no discrimination on recruitment, promotion, or training. Advisory committee for implementation. So, the case law here, Ranbir Singh versus Union of India, 1982. Okay, Article 14 and 16 support equal pay. Okay, the final example is memorize the key section numbers and wages threshold. So practice bonus computation we already discussed. So link each act with the constitution basis. At least you have to write, whenever you write any answer, quote at least one case we already discussed in each of the thing. So go through this particular PPT again and again, this video, and share with your friends, those who are interested in law or labor laws. Okay, and those who are preparing for the LL.B. And it is a excellent class. So thank you for my class. If you are newly watching my channel, please do subscribe and share with your friends. Thank you. All the best for your coming examination. So I'm wind up in here. Just yeah.